So from time to time, it's important to get a lay of the land. When you're in the middle of a battle, you need to kind of assess the troops on both sides and kind of get a sense of what's your strategy and who's winning, who's losing, how do we move forward? And so I wanted to talk today about the warriors who are on this particular side of this particular battle. Because we don't have the town criers anymore in the realm. And so remember that when the circus came to town, they compromised all the town criers. And so it became much harder for the people to get information about what was happening in the realm. And so I just want to remind people and gather some of the information for you about who's doing what on our side of this line. And so recall that I'm telling a story about a circus that came to town. A lot of people put in tickets for a concert by a soulful singer, and then a circus showed up instead. And that's because there was some finagling with the ticket counting. And so since then, what we find in the village is that there are kind of two sides now of people who are battling for different things. And the one side in this story is the circus, and their purpose is complete and absolute control, not only of their realm, but of all realms. And so that's their agenda. And recall that the circus came to town with the help of 7 thieves. Many of them were merchants, some of them were political leaders in other realms who all came together to finagle this particular joust so that they could make it look like the circus was actually invited. And since the circus came to town, they've caused a lot of problems. And so there are a lot of people who are unhappy about the circus being here. And so now the whole realm has divided up into 2 camps, those who are pro-circus and those who are anti-circus. And the thing is, the circus has been ramping up their offensive. So they've been sending out cold water clown cars, and they've been sending out toy soldiers, and they've been ramping up their use of pew-pews and of violets, distributing violet flowers throughout the land. And so a lot of people have become fearful and scared of this kind of circus overthrow of all of the different principalities in the realm. But let's look at what's really happening, not just what we're hearing about in the so-called news. Let's talk about what's really happening. First of all, we have a number of prominent warriors that are located in different principalities who are all standing up and fighting against the circus finally. We've got Wesley Morso, the mayor of Charm City, standing up. We've got J.B. Principal, the governor of the land of Lincoln, standing up. He's like, yeah, come here and see what happens to you. He even called upon his own people in his village to fight. We've got Governor Bob Forget About It of the Evergreen State. He's like, yeah, you're not going to bully us. And then, of course, we've got Nicole Calling It Out of the Lone Star State, along with Jazzy Stop It. And then our most famous warrior we've got is Governor, Gary Newbooty of the Golden State, who's become an expert master class troller. These are just some of the generals in this battle. But we also have lots of communities getting involved. So whole groups of people that identify a particular way are organizing as well. So of course we have the Miccosukee in the land of alligators who came together as clan mothers and prayer warriors and shut down that whole nonsense over there. And then we have the Black people who were the main demographic that put in the tickets for the soulful singer Lotus Queen. And as soon as the erroneous results were announced, they said, okay, we're going to resist through rest. And these people have always been a clarion call. They have a very long history of persistence in this realm. And so they have always been the canary in the coal mine who have alerted people to what's coming. And so they told people, if we come out into the streets, there's going to be the shedding of the red stuff. There's going to be a lot of violet flowers being thrown. And so we're going to stay home to protect you, because what their intention is, the circus, is to create a law of martial. And so our strategy is, okay, we're going to stay home and let these people go out. But that's not all they did. They didn't just warn people. They also started line dancing. And at first people thought, oh, isn't that kind of frivolous? We're in the middle of a battle. What are you doing dancing? But then it turns out that now people are dancing in the streets at the People's Parade. And this is very effective form of artivism and symbolic persistence, because you have on the one side all of these toy soldiers wearing lots of gear with masks and all of this nonsense. And then facing them are people doing the shuffle. I mean, it's a powerful image, right? Art versus violence. And then we have the old palm-colored hippies who have come out in droves throughout all of the realms. Everywhere on the globe, they have come out, and these people are like, we've been doing this for decades. We know how to do this. We're going to keep coming out. And the other side is making fun of them, saying, oh, you just have a bunch of old people on the street. Don't discount the old people. The elders are important. They have wisdom, experience, knowledge, and they're out there, regardless of the shape of their bodies and whatever aches and pains they have. They are out there. I say bravo. And now we've added another group, the retired warriors, right, are now taking to the parades, and they're going and choosing to confront the people who are cosplaying as warriors. This is happening in the capital city, but it's probably going to spread. In addition to all of those groups and different warriors, we also have the crystal gazers and the astral gazers, the 4 a.m. club, the dreaming women, the dreaming gays and theys. These are a group of people, many groups of people who are kind of coordinated at this time, who are working in the spiritual realms, and they are trying to help people to raise their consciousness, to learn how to visualize, to learn how to bring about the future we want to see, to learn how to tap into their own power. And this is a really big deal, because if you know anything about the history of the mainstream kind of spiritual community in this realm, you will know that traditionally people in this community have often argued that, oh, spiritual people shouldn't be involved in politics. That's going to contaminate our practice. And we've seen a major shift, right? So that now when you go onto some of these stages, these social stages, you will see lots of crystal gazers who are talking explicitly or exclusively about the current situation. This didn't used to happen. So we're seeing an end to the spiritual bypassing, for example. We're seeing a unification of the spiritual path with the justice path. And we're also seeing a change in who is involved. And so instead of it just being people who were born with gifts, who are very gifted, who have certain abilities, who are doing this work, we now are having all kinds of people, predominantly women, who woke up the day after the big joust with a sudden, strong, intuitive knowing. And as a result, many of these women, and some gays and theys, and some fellas as well, but they are the minority, have now started to very explicitly begin to develop their gifts and to take them seriously, to honor their abilities, to get into community with others, and to begin to really chart a different path for themselves. And there's one other group that's actually on this side now, and that is the disaffected, the FAFO red hats. And that community is growing too. People who thought they supported the circus, they thought it was a good thing, they thought it was going to bring something to their community, they thought they were going to benefit in some way. And then it turns out they're not benefiting at all. So they're like, oh, maybe this was a bad idea. And some of them are really angry. And some of them are just sad. And some of them are now motivated to do what they can to get the circus out of town. And so if we look at the other side, what we see is that the head clown is about to fall off his elephant. And then we also see a lot of infighting among the different clowns in the circus. We also see them putting out a lot of proclamations, which are then failing. So there are a lot of, L's. We see a lot of acts of desperation. We also see just really dwindling popularity. They don't have any people behind them. We're not seeing the signs. We're not seeing the hats as much. We're not seeing the people, spouting out about, oh, I support the circus. Yeah, there's still some of them. But if you go to a people's parade, where are the counter paraders? They're not there. So what did I leave out? Drop it in the comments. Who else is involved in this battle? this battle for our future.